baby. They love our country. I am aware of the incredible tension between the two parties, between the two parts of the nation. I'm attentive to the need of many people to allay this tension. But there's one thing I refuse to accept. There is an extreme minority that is ready to tear our country into parts. It tends to violence, it ignites fire, it threatens to harm elected people, it talks about civil war, and it calls upon subordination, which is a terrible crime. The state of Israel cannot exist without the IDF, and the IDF cannot exist with subordination. Subordination on the one hand will bring about subordination from the other hand. Subordination is the end of our state, and therefore I demand from the security forces and the commanders of the army to oppose profusely the phenomenon of subordination, not to contain it, not to understand it, not to accept it, to stop it. These who call upon subordination, those who call upon anarchy and violence, are aware of the fact that they are cutting the baby in two. But most of the citizens of Israel on both sides do not want to cut the baby in two. They are not ready to tear the people into pieces. Citizens of Israel, I am not ready to tear this nation into pieces. For 3 months, I kept calling for a dialogue. And I also said that I will turn every stone in order to reach a solution. Because I remember, we remember that we are not facing enemies. We are facing brothers. And I say here and now, we cannot have a civil war. We are now on a path of a very dangerous collision in the Israeli society. It's in the midst of a crisis which jeopardizes the basic unity between us. And such a crisis commits all of us. It binds all of us to act responsibly. Yesterday, I read the letter of Benny Gantz, where he is committed to go bona fide to a dialogue on all issues. I know that there are other people who support this approach, and to them I extend my hand, and I'm doing it after I got the agreement of most of my colleagues. When there's a possibility to prevent a civil war and to dialogue, I, as a Prime Minister, of course, take a time out for dialogue. I give a real opportunity for a real dialogue. We are insisting to bring about the needed amendments in the judicial system, and we're going to do everything to achieve them by agreement. This is a very important goal. So out of national responsibility, out of the wish to prevent the rift in the nation, I decided to postpone the second and third hearing of the law in this session of the Knesset in order to give time to try to get to that wide agreement towards the legislation in the next session of the Knesset. This way or the other, we're going to bring about a reform to restore the balance that was lost while maintaining and even strengthening the human rights, individual rights. I would like to call upon the supporters of the national camp. We have the majority to do it by ourselves in the Knesset, with a huge support of the people. Tens of thousands of our supporters came tonight to Jerusalem in order to support the reform, in order to say we need a change. We need reforms. And I want to tell you, I'm proud of you. You are not second-class citizens. I appreciate the fact that you came out to the streets of our capital in order to voice your democratic say, your voice, our voice. Nobody's going to silence us. And I must say another thing. You came spontaneously, not organized, not funded, not with the media, with all your heart and with all your soul. You really moved me. I want to ask you just for one thing. Continue to act responsibly and don't be dragged to any provocation. Our way is just. A great majority in the public recognizes the need for a reform in the court system. We will not allow that the people will be deprived of their free choice. We're not going to give up the way for which we were elected, but we will make an attempt to achieve a wide agreement. Citizens of Israel, we live in a generation of redemption. History gives us an incredible opportunity, such as was never before in the history, to come back to our land and to build our homeland and our state. Soon we're going to celebrate Pesach, Passover, and Memorial Days, and Independence Day. We will sit at the table together. We are going to mourn our fallen dead together. We are going to celebrate our independence together. And we shall give a vote of thanks to all the people of the security forces that for a minute do not forget their duty to protect all of us all the time. Because all of us have a joint fate. We all have a common objective, and that is to ensure the eternity of the Jewish people. Thank you.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu wrapping up a brief address to the nation covering a wide range of issues in a short space of time. And we're going to get straight to wrapping it up with our senior diplomatic correspondent, because the Prime Minister says for 3 months he's been